Have you ever seen a lie develop right in front of you? The way a photograph slowly darkens in the tray, the image revealing what you were never meant to see? It doesn't scream, it just appears. And suddenly, everything you trusted has edges. My name's Anna, 52. I'm an art teacher, which means I've spent my life teaching people to look closer. I wish I'd done that at home. It started on a Sunday morning. I was cleaning my daughter Lily's room, collecting the usual chaos of clothes draped over chairs, paint-stained mugs, and half-finished sketches. The air still smelled faintly of her perfume and turpentine. That's when I noticed the photo strip pinned above her desk. 4 frames. Lily, her best friend Emily, and someone else pressed between them in the final shot. Mark, my husband. He was smiling, head tilted toward Emily in that way people do when the world around them disappears, her hand on his chest, his expression too soft to be fatherly. They looked young together, as if age was something you could borrow from someone else. I stared until the image blurred, the room spinning in quiet disbelief. When I confronted him that night, he didn't deny it. "It just happened," he said. "Affairs don't just happen. They're cultivated like mold, quietly, in the damp corners of routine, fed by what you stop noticing." He packed his bags that night, not because I asked him to, but because the guilt couldn't stand the lighting anymore. The house used to be full of sound, Lily's laughter echoing down the stairs, Mark humming while he cooked, the clatter of plates followed by the easy rhythm of conversation. It wasn't exciting, but it was ours. We weren't perfect, but we were practiced. There was a comfort in our rituals. Sunday morning markets, the same worn coffee mugs, the quiet synchrony of long marriages where sentences don't need finishing. I used to mistake that stillness for safety. He wasn't cruel, just uncurious, which is a quieter kind of cruelty. Looking back, that's what hurt the most. Not anger, not betrayal, the slow erosion of wonder. He stopped asking about my art. I stopped expecting him to. Our marriage became a painting left too long in the sun, the colors still visible but faded beyond recognition. I thought our biggest problem was midlife boredom, the way routine turns love into logistics. Bills, groceries, small talk about weather. In class, I'd watch my students, bright, reckless, spilling over with beginnings, and feel something I couldn't name. I used to envy my students. All that beginning. I didn't know mine had already ended. People talk about midlife crises like earthquakes, sudden, dramatic, impossible to ignore. But they don't start that way. They start as hairline cracks in glass, invisible until you look closely enough to see what's already breaking. Every Sunday, our house smelled like rosemary and roasted vegetables. It was our ritual, family dinner, laughter spilling from the kitchen before anyone sat down. Lily and Emily were always there, inseparable, their conversations fast and overlapping, a private language built from years of shared adolescence. Emily practically lived with us. She knew where the glasses were kept, which drawer hid the corkscrew, which chair creaked when you leaned back too far. She'd join us on family trips, movie nights, even errands that didn't need 2 people. She called me Mrs. Carter until one day she just called me Anna. I liked that. It made me feel younger, too. It's strange, the ways affection can disguise infiltration. I never questioned her closeness. Never questioned his, either. Mark treated her like family. Gentle teasing, fatherly advice, that warm pride he used to have when helping Lily with her homework. He guided Emily through her university applications, helped her edit her internship essays, even drove her to her first interview. I thought he saw her as the daughter he never had. I was right. Just not in the way I meant. At the time, I only felt grateful. In photographs, they looked like a trio. My husband, my daughter, and the girl who'd somehow become part of us. There's one photo that stands out now, taken on a family trip to the coast. Lily and I are in the foreground, squinting against the sun. In the background, just barely in frame, Mark and Emily are laughing at something private, leaning too close. I saw it later, zoomed in. You can always see the beginning in hindsight. We invite people into our homes believing kindness makes us safe, that generosity keeps us separate from danger. But it doesn't. It just blurs the boundary between welcome and surrender. It began subtly, the kind of shift you only notice once it's already permanent. Lily had always been chatty, filling every silence with stories, music, plans. But lately, the house had grown quieter. Doors closed more often. Her phone, once left scattered on the couch, was now locked and face down. I told myself it was normal. Teenagers grow away before they grow up. Then one evening, as I was setting the table, she said it, her voice small but certain. "I don't want Emily over anymore." I looked up, surprised. "Did something happen?" "She's different," Lily said. "Just different." I assumed it was another teenage falling out. Too many secrets, too much proximity, friendship fatigue. Meanwhile, Mark's absences stretched longer. His phone was always buzzing, always flipped upside down. He started using words like client dinner and late meeting, as if rehearsed. Every lie begins as politeness. "Don't wait up. You should rest. It's just a busy week." I'd heard those phrases before, from other women's husbands never expecting to join their club. Then one night, Lily came home in tears, mascara streaked, hands shaking. "I saw her," she said. "Emily, at the mall." "Did you talk to her?" She shook her head. "She was with someone, some older guy. They were holding hands." I felt a twist of pity for her. Heartbreak arriving too soon. I made tea, held her close, said the things mothers are supposed to say. That love is confusing, that people disappoint us, that no one is worth that kind of hurt. I didn't know I was soothing a wound we shared. I told her no one is worth that kind of hurt. I didn't realize I was rehearsing my own advice. The night I found the photograph, I waited until Lily was asleep before confronting him. The house felt unnaturally still, as if it already knew what was about to happen. Mark sat at the kitchen table, elbows on his knees, eyes fixed on the floor. When I held up the photo strip, he didn't flinch. He just exhaled, a sound too heavy to be surprise. "It started after her parents' divorce," he said quietly. "She needed someone." Those 3 words, "needed someone," felt obscene in his mouth, like he was reciting sympathy while confessing sin. "She's a child," I said. He shook his head. "She's not. Not anymore. Stop!" My voice cracked before I could control it. He pressed on, desperate to rewrite the story. "It wasn't planned, Anna. It just happened." I felt alive again. Alive. That's what men call it when they confuse guilt for passion. The sound of my hand hitting the table startled even me. The plate beside me shattered, a flash of white and porcelain. Somewhere behind us, a door creaked open. Lily. She stood in the doorway, eyes wide, tears pooling before she understood what they were for. "Dad," she whispered. He tried to speak, but I saw it. The realization washing over her, a truth too cruel to need explanation. She screamed, a raw, broken sound, then ran upstairs, the slam of her door echoing through every room of our marriage. Mark followed her, calling her name, but she locked the door and his voice faded into the same silence he'd built between us for years. In that moment, I realized our daughter's heart broke before mine finished cracking. He left the next morning. No apology, no defense. Just a suitcase and the stench of cowardice trailing out the door. 2 weeks later, Lily's phone buzzed. She showed me without speaking. A text from an unknown number. It was Emily, a photo of her and Mark in a new apartment, smiling. The caption read, "He's happy now." Lily didn't cry. She just stared for a long moment, then pressed block. That night, she burned the printout in a ceramic bowl on her desk, the same desk where the first photo had hung. That was the day she stopped saying his name. Months passed in fragments. Days became something I moved through on instinct. Work, meals, silence. My body remembered the motions even when my mind didn't want to. You don't realize how much of your day revolves around someone until you start filling it with their absence. The space they leave isn't empty, it's loud. At school, the whispers started. Parents lingered at the gates, voices dipped in sympathy and gossip. Students watched me too long, unsure if pity was allowed. In art class, I started teaching still life again. Easier to talk about objects than emotions. Lily stopped speaking about him entirely. Therapy sessions ended in silence. When I asked if she wanted to see him, she said, "He doesn't exist to me." I envied her simplicity. Emily's parents reached out once. They sounded broken in that polite, parental way. Apologies wrapped in disbelief. "We thought you'd hate her," her mother said. "We just don't understand." I didn't have the energy to hate. Hate requires attention, and I was tired of giving them mine. Then one night, an email appeared. No subject line, just a name in the inbox I hadn't seen in months. "I never meant to hurt you. I love him. I hope one day you can forgive us." It was from Emily. I didn't reply, but I couldn't delete it either. Every night I'd open it, read those lines over and over like a wound I refused to let scar. People talk about forgiveness like it's healing, but forgiveness is a luxury for people who didn't lose everything. It started quietly. One afternoon, after months of avoidance, I took out my old brushes. The smell of turpentine filled the room. Sharp, familiar, almost comforting. I hadn't painted in years. At first it was just color. No plan, no image, just movement. Then shapes began to emerge. Empty rooms, half-open doors, blurred faces that seemed to watch and vanish at once. One painting stayed with me. A faceless man holding hands with a childlike figure dissolving into color. I titled it, Inheritance. It wasn't meant to be revenge. It was just truth, translated. A local community gallery was hosting a small exhibition. I submitted my work on a whim, expecting nothing. But when they accepted Inheritance, something inside me shifted. Not joy exactly, but recognition. On opening night, the gallery buzzed softly with polite conversation and the clinking of glasses. My painting hung near the entrance, understated but impossible to ignore. A journalist stopped in front of it, notebook in hand, head tilted. A week later, the article appeared online. A visual metaphor for generational betrayal. The Art of Anna Carter. The headline spread faster than I ever imagined. Comments, shares, speculation. Someone tagged Emily's university account under the post, connecting dots I never intended to draw. Within days, rumors grew louder. Whispers about her inappropriate relationship with a family friend. By the end of the week, she'd withdrawn from her program. Then Mark called. His voice was sharp, frayed. "You did this," he said. "You destroyed her life." "I didn't," I told him, but I didn't stop it either. After that, the line went dead. Another silence added to the collection. Some revenge doesn't need planning. It just needs timing. Months passed before I heard the news. Emily was found in her car on a back road outside the city. Pills, exhaust fumes, a note too smudged to read. The police called it suicide. The newspapers called it tragedy. Lily wept for days but refused to see her father. "He killed her," she said. "Maybe not with his hands, but with everything else." Mark unraveled quietly. He started drinking, missed work, lost his job. I heard from mutual friends that he'd been calling me late at night, leaving messages I never returned, the kind of apologies that come too late to matter. Then, one afternoon, a package arrived. No sender. Inside was a sketch, unframed, folded along the edges. It was my face, drawn in pencil, haloed by streaks of red paint. The lines trembled slightly, as if done in haste or guilt. It looked like apology, or accusation, maybe both. I sat for a long time just staring at it, the art teacher inside me analyzing the strokes, the woman inside me recognizing the hand that made them. Emily's. "My husband left me for a younger woman, who turned out to be our daughter's best friend. Now, our daughter wants nothing to do with him." I hung the sketch in my studio, beside the painting that started it all. I used to think revenge was about balance, but it's really just gravity. What happens when the weight finally finds its rightful place?